Winnie and her husband Ed met when they were 16 years old, married at 21, and were together for 66 years until Ed's death in 2014. Winnie, mother to Barb Chilcote and Barb's 4 siblings, loved being a mother and loved her family. It was originally said of someone else, but true of Winnie, she would mother anyone too weak to resist. Friends of her children and later their spouses were gathered into Winnie's all-encompassing warmth. Her 10 grandchildren were a delight to her, and she was a delight to them with her sense of humor and her wraparound hugs. Winnie was over the moon about her 3 great-grandchildren. Though Winnie and Ed moved a lot while raising their gang, in each location it was important to them to get involved in a church. Winnie served in many roles: Sunday school teacher, women's circle leader, deacon, shepherd, and Stephen minister. The hymn, "Now Thank We All Our God," says this: "Now thank we all our God with heart and hands and voices, who wondrous things hath done, in whom his world rejoices, who from our mother's arms hath blessed us on our way with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today." We thank God for Winnie's love, which has blessed so many abundantly. Amen. My mother, Jean Heinzelman, lived a long life of 98 and a half years, and we remember her with love, joy, and appreciation. She and my father George shared almost 60 years of life together before my dad passed in 2005, and theirs was one of those marriages that make us smile, laugh, and rejoice in the goodness of God and of lives well spent building up God's kingdom. My mother was a storyteller, both professionally at local libraries and more importantly with her 3 sons, of which I am the youngest. I have fond memories of my mom telling us stories when she was cutting our hair, driving in the car, getting ready for bed, or just being a family together around the dinner table. My mother loved children, and her mother's love extended beyond her immediate family to all those she touched. My mother also loved Jesus and sought to follow him with a practical wisdom graced with a hopeful spirit. She will be remembered for her abiding faithfulness in difficult times, for her enduring patience, for her heartfelt prayers, for her boundless optimism, for her authentic hospitality, and for her compassionate love. Her graveside marker says it best: Jean R. Heinzelman, well done, good and faithful servant. Peace to her memory. Amen. My mother, Ginny Schustrom, was born Mary Virginia Abel on August 29, 1928, on a farm in Bowie, Maryland, the second oldest of 7 siblings. She married Robert Schustrom in 1948 and raised 7 children of her own, 5 girls and 2 boys, of which I was the middle child. My mom was only 54 years old when my dad passed away in 1983. Knowing the pain that grief brings, she began helping others who experienced the loss of loved ones by serving on her church's bereavement committee. She also continued to work full-time until a series of health issues eventually led to her retirement at 82. Mom spent her last year and a half confined to a bed. Through the loving devotion of my sisters, we were blessed to be able to keep her at home and care for her there, although that meant an up-close and personal witness to much pain and discomfort, which, however, she bore more bravely than any of us believed we would have. What I will remember most about her is her great sense of humor and infectious laughter. And she shared with each of us her deep, faith-based sense of gratitude for all things. She thanked God for all of those ministering to and caring for her, and she thanked Him for everything else: the day, the sunshine, the birds, coffee, good friends and neighbors. She even thanked God often for her bed. Mom passed away in February 2021 at the age of 92, and I truly believe she is a saint. She is remembered with deep affection as a loving and active mom and Grandma Shu who treasured her faith, family, and friends. Amen. Emily had just turned 48 before she went to be with Jesus. We miss her. Emily's personality was complex and eclectic. She was smart, a straight-A student in high school and college except for one class at the U of Iowa where you had to learn to swim before you graduate. Not so much for Em. Emily had a thirst for knowledge. Her undergrad was in anthropology and her master's was in museum science. Highly interested in culture, she had a passion for Native American culture. Her heart was broken by the plight and poverty of the Native Americans on a mission trip to South Dakota. She was a champion for their belongings as she worked in museums and sought to return their heritage to them. Self-taught as a techie and web designer, she also developed the creative side as she was a highly accomplished stitcher, designer, and event planner. Introvert by nature, she could be an extrovert when she had to be. She loved penguins, Doctor Who, science fiction, all kinds of music, 40s and 50s radio shows, The Color Purple, glasses, shoes, puns, and as always, her beloved Chicago Cubs. She hated peas, dirt, bugs, and injustice. And as she got sicker and had to deal with more and more pain, she pressed into Jesus. She never gave up. There were days that she was absolutely miserable, but she soldiered on. However, she is now at peace. She battled thyroid and kidney disease for many years. She was tired and weary and in extreme pain. Her heart's desire was to go and be with Jesus. In her final hours, she kept urging him to hurry. Emily would want you to know about her Jesus, the man who walked with her and comforted her during her pain, the Spirit who guided her, and the God who took her home and answered her prayers. Amen. My mother was born and raised in my hometown. She was the fourth oldest to a family of 8. At the age of 94, she only had 2 siblings left, her youngest brother and sister. Family was very important to my mother, giving birth to 13 children. 1 died right after birth. She was always there for all of us. She and my father had their rules, but gave us room to make our own decisions and mistakes. Even with all the responsibility of 12 children, she had fun with siblings and cousins. There was always a lot of laughter when everyone was together. Even with all the babies, my parents made it to church. There were times when my father would take some of us to early Mass and she would take the rest of us to a later service. She was a very loving person and, as I found out at the funeral, touched many lives. In her late 80s, she fell and hit her head. I never expected her to live, but God gave her back to us for a number of years. 2 of my younger sisters stepped up and became her caregivers. I was there during an interview with a PT evaluator. She asked my mom what she likes best. My mom said to sit with all her kids and listen to them talk and laugh. She would have her bad days when her reality was not what we were seeing, but she always knew her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She was never happier than when the little ones were around. She had 12 children, 19 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-grandchild. She loved all of us and treated us all with the same love. We were lucky in the fact that she passed during the time when COVID restrictions had been lifted. It was a beautiful funeral. My daughter-in-law sang, while my son and oldest brother played guitars. She would have loved it. I pray that God let her see how we honored her. Amen.